The U.S. is bombing Iran with Israel's help. What does this mean for mortgage rates? Are we going to go into a recession? Are we going to see inflation? Are rates going up? Are rates going down? And how is this going to impact housing? We're going to unpack that and so much more in today's episode of the Loan Officer Podcast. Check this out. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus, you are tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast with me, Dustin Owen, and with me from the TLOP team, I have with me, per usual, the producer extraordinaire, Karina Mojica, and along with me and Karina today is the man, the myth, the legend, Rocky Mikey Vinnie, Marketing Mike, the man, the myth, the legend. What's going on, lady and gentleman?
I'm pumped up.
How y'all doing?
I'm
Great.
doing great. How are you?
Yeah, I like this. We got a new set design.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're feeling a little bit freaky
We're
today,
trying
huh?
something new.
Yeah, you're flying that freak flag. Karina came back from lunch. I'm getting a contact high. I think there's a thing that if you're going to be one of our producers, there's a certain substance that you use to self-medicate typically before you come in the studio with me.
Yes.
I'm curious if I should take offense to that. Like, am I that over the top that people need to numb their pain before they come in?
That's hilarious.
Oh,
That's
man.
a funny way to think of it. No.
So you have to answer
the
question.
No,
Yeah.
no. I don't know. I just wanted to.
Yeah, you know, doctor prescribed. It's all good. It is doctor prescribed. You were on your lunch break. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
You
just
go
like that
hard with the
perfume
carbs.
that you sprayed on yourself when you came back. It was nice.
Yeah.
No, we have a pretty serious topic that I want to jump right into.
Yeah, let me wipe the smile off because...
Yeah, I mean, look, again, we said this probably 3 episodes ago or 3 weeks ago, probably 10 episodes ago. Who knows what it is at this standpoint, that we do our best at TLOP and have for 6 years to stay apolitical.
Yes.
Right? Like, we don't celebrate anything. Like, I don't celebrate Valentine's Day on the show. We don't celebrate St. Patty's Day. We don't do Mother's Day. We don't do Father's Day. We don't do Women's Day. We don't do Dude's Day. Like we just try to stay as neutral as possible. But it's hard to ignore world events, especially when they impact what we do stand for, right? And that's teaching the shit they don't teach in school. It's helping people generate wealth through home ownership. It's helping loan officers get better. And we currently have the United States of America and their ally Israel has bombed, right? There's a event happening in Iran, and there's going to be some kind of a political, not even political backlash, just a economic backlash. Like for every for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? So we're going to unpack that today and talk about it. But before we do, let's take a quick pause so we can hear from today's show sponsor. Y'all, something big is happening at Lower Mortgage. And if you're paying attention to this industry, you've probably noticed. In just the last month alone, Lower has added some serious horsepower. We're talking top producers representing over $350 million in volume. These aren't rookies kicking tires. These are heavy hitters who've done their homework and made the move. That should tell you something. On top of that, Lower just acquired Movoto, a top 5 real estate portal with over 150 visitors just last year. Before that, they brought in Neat Labs, and now they're launching Lower OS, a next-gen mortgage platform that's cutting loan delivery times down to 10 days. This isn't a company standing still. Lower doubled their volume last year, and they're projecting another 40 to 50% growth this year. The best in the business are taking notice, and they're voting with their feet. Here's the reality. The companies that are going to win in this market are the ones investing in technology, building real infrastructure, and competing at scale. Lower is doing all of that. They're going head to head with the Rockets of the world, and they're built for originators, not against them. If you're a producer who wants to be a part of something that's actually going somewhere, not just surviving, but growing, this is the moment. Lower Mortgage, the momentum is real. All right, so we're back. So Mike, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How do you explain to someone who doesn't know what's going on in Iran right now?
What's going on is decades of turmoil, if not centuries, out in the Middle East, where you have a country that's had a lot of control over that region, and there's been a lot of fear because of that country. And presidents in the past have been asked to take action, right? but there's a lot of repercussion, not only monetarily, right, but culturally that can happen if we were to do something. So the current administration, well, actually, it wasn't the current administration because it's a topic for debate, but the president ordered strikes on Iran. So right now, we're dealing with not necessarily an all-out war going on right now, but heavy U.S. military strikes being executed out in Iran. And we have the whole Gulf. The Gulf countries are most of them supporting, but some of them not getting involved in these strikes, being hit by Iran, and wondering what to do. So I think there's a lot of the world right now is unstable. The financial markets, and again, the cultural market. It's like just us as human beings don't feel very stable at the moment.
Yeah, because something crazy over 50% of the world's oil comes out of this one region.
Yep.
Now, obviously, oil comes from Russia, and oil comes out of Venezuela, and there's other countries throughout the world, including the United States. We're probably the world's largest producer of oil and have the most in reserve. But that's a large producer of oil. I mean, whether it's Kuwait or Iraq or Iran or Qatar, I mean, those Gulf countries, as we like to call them.
Yep.
I asked you that question because really what I was angling for is it's not a war. Like, we can't call it a war. No war's been declared.
Right.
But do you call it an attack? Do you call it a squabble, a skirmish, like a bombing? Like, we bombed them, right? No one bombed us, but we bombed them.
30 warships, Iranian warships sunk now. So it's
30?
Yeah.
No.
30.
I don't believe you.
It's 30 warships.
30 warships.
Somebody fact check me, right? Google that real quick. Let's put our producer to work.
You know what? Let's put Special K
let's
to
put her
work
to
a
work
little
here.
bit.
Yeah.
Google that for me, Karina, or go to Chad or Claude or whoever your favorite.
Warships sunk so far.
So far since the U.S. attacked Iran in 2026. But to get specific on this one, right? I don't need you going back like a century on me. But anyhow, we'll keep going. I want to get into the meat and potatoes,
interject when you got it.
It's really more about what happens next.
Right.
Like, that's what I want this to happen. This is not a debate over right or wrong, or should we or shouldn't have we, and should you have gotten congressional approval or should you not have gotten congressional
It says, as of
approvals?
March 5th, 2026, U.S. Central Command officials reported that the U.S. military has destroyed or sunk over 30 Iranian warships and vessels since the start of hostilities on February 28, 2026.
So no, there's not a congressional war that was declared. I'm with you on that.
Correct.
But we have done some damage.
Yes. Okay.
Insane.
Yeah, and we're not here to debate whether or not we should or shouldn't have, right? That's not
100%
it. So let's talk about what it means for housing.
Yeah.
Like, what does it mean for the stock market? What does it mean for home buyers? What does it mean for loan officers? What does it mean for real estate agents?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, for most of us, I would tell you, if I was coaching you right now, this is another moment where we put our head down, our blinders on, and we grind.
Yeah.
Meaning, you can go home and over barbecue over the weekend with your family debate, all of the political do's or do nots that you really didn't have a decision in, and you really don't get much of a decision in general.
Yeah.
But when it comes to whether or not someone should buy a house or not buy a house, I don't think it impacts it one bit. Should I lock in my rate or not lock in my rate? We can discuss about that. But if you're purchasing a home, you typically have to lock in your rate at a certain time because you have a closing date you have to set by.
Yeah.
So here's what I can tell you all in general about geopolitical events and how it impacts the market.
Yeah, and I'm excited for this.
Yeah, because are you excited about this?
No, I am, because I know enough to be dangerous, but obviously hearing it from you, it'll solidify it.
Yeah, so here's what we'll turn the episode into is like what happens when an event like the U.S. and Israel attacking Iran happens.
Yeah.
Because this isn't the first nor will be the last time in our lives that events like this happen.
Mm-hmm.
I used to say this kind of half-assed jokingly, and what's cool is we have so many vintage training videos recorded of me saying this.
Yeah.
But back prior to 2023 that Russia attacked and invaded Ukraine, I used to say to people, like in training classes, hey, everything I tell you about the market is all subject to change because of geopolitical events, such as if Russia were to attack Ukraine.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
And that drew Europe and the U.S. into a potential war.
Yeah.
What type of impact would that have on the market? Right? Geopolitical events. If China were to bomb Taiwan, that's a geopolitical event. Like things that we can't necessarily foresee happening, or the COVID epidemic, right? You couldn't have foreseen that happen. We had never experienced it, and it greatly and drastically impacted the markets.
Absolutely.
So the first thing I want people to know is that this is a geopolitical event. Fact, right? It is. It's a geopolitical event. typically in the history, when you have a geopolitical event such as this, you have what's called a flight to safety. A flight to safety is this. The world economy gets a little bit uneasy, and they look to put their investments in what we would call a safer investment. Well, typically the bond market is deemed to be a safer investment.
Yeah.
Bonds are safer than stocks, just very general fourth grade economic lesson. Bond prices go up because we have all this supply coming in.
Yep.
So people are charging more. That's pushing the yield down. The yield is the interest rate. So interest rates are coming down. Typically, geopolitical events are good for home buyers. It's good for anybody looking to refinance because if rates were at 6, you would think they're going to go to 5.75.
Yeah.
Well, that's not what's happening right now because you had to think of the region, the Gulf region. What happens in the Gulf region? We produce all this oil. Oil gets turned into diesel, gets turned into gasoline, and now you have a trickle-down effect.
Yeah.
Well, if you start shutting off the Strait of Hormuz. I'm going to mispronounce it.
Hormuz.
Yeah. I have a hard time.
Hormuz.
There we go. But the minute you start shutting that off, you start shutting down the amount of oil that is flowing out of that region. Well, we've seen it already. The price of barrels of oil have skyrocketed. I mean, at one point, they were over $100 a barrel. They've since dropped down to closer to $90 a barrel. Who knows where they'll be by the time we produce this episode. Well, when that happens, then gas prices go up. Okay, well, gas prices go up, airline tickets go up. Gas line prices go up, the cost of goods goes up because we have to transport goods across the world, across the globe, across the U.S. And if it costs me more money to get that, let's say, package from China to California to Florida, right, then the price of everything goes up. Well, when the price of everything goes up, including gasoline, then all of a sudden we see inflation.
Yeah.
Well, we've just lived the past 3 years of crazy amounts of inflation caused by the economic stimulus that our government, both governments, had signed off on during COVID.
Yep.
Well, inflation is the arch enemy of the bond market.
Yeah.
Right? So we're in this weird conundrum where you would think, well, logic tells me geopolitical event is going to do a flight to safety in the investment world. Money's going to flow out of stocks and into bonds. That's going to cause yields on bonds to go down, which means interest rates go down, good for home buyers and good for anyone looking to refinance. However, because of where the geopolitical event is happening, it's impacting the supply of oil to the entire world. Well, when that starts happening, we see oil prices go up. We can see the cost of goods go up. That could be inflationary. And inflation is counter to rates going down. When we're in high periods of inflation, rates go up. If you went back and studied the 1970s, early 80s, right? Well, we had an economy that was at one point in the 70s doing extremely well. And we had really high oil prices. Inflation was through the roof. And we had about 17% interest rates.
Yeah.
The good news is we're not going that direction. However, mortgage rates haven't gone down 0.25% since the U.S. and Israel attacked Iran. Rates are actually up 0.25%.
Yeah.
So if rates were sitting at 6, today we're sitting much closer to 6.25. Now, on a $400,000 loan, I'll do some quick math for you. If you just said it's $8 per every eighth on $100,000, that would mean it's $16 per every eighth on $100,000. I'm sorry, it's $16 for every quarter on $100,000. So 16 times 4, because it's not a $100,000 loan, it's a $400,000 loan, is roughly 40 plus 32, $72. What if one trip could elevate your personal brand for the entire year? On April 14th and 15th, our friends over at First Home IQ are taking loan officers to Washington, D.C. for the MBA's National Advocacy Conference, which happens to be my favorite event of the year. But let's be clear, this is not about politics. This is about an opportunity for leadership and visibility. Only 1 in 8 next-gen buyers trust loan officers, and 6 out of every 10 feel the housing system is rigged against them. Building trust happens locally in how you show up, educate, and listen. But it only happens nationally when you show your market that you're on the Hill advocating for policies that protect them. Here's the game plan. Weeks before going to DC, you're going to be creating content. The content's going to be about why you're going, why affordability matters in your market, why first-time home buyers need better solutions. Now, when you're in DC, First Home IQ is going to be bringing in a professional video and social media team. You're going to walk away with video reels, behind the scenes content from Capitol Hill, direct to camera footage, content that positions you as a trusted housing leader in your state and local community. And here's the strategy. Most LOs talk about affordability. Very few show up on Capitol Hill to fight for it. When your referral partners see you advocating face-to-face with lawmakers, that signals leadership. Consumers trust individual professionals more than institutions. The mission is clear. This is a pivotal year for home affordability. It's a pivotal year for First Home IQ's mission, and it's the 250th birthday of America. We're aiming for LOs from every state advocating together for housing affordability and sustainable home ownership. You'll meet lawmakers. You'll learn how policy works. First Home IQ is going to give you the talking points. You'll know exactly what to say and why it matters. The visibility you create before, during, and after DC will reach your local market in a way no ad ever could. Washington needs more LOs in the room. Your state needs representation. Your borrowers need advocates. And your personal brand deserves elevation. This is a movement. This is your chance to sign up. Join hundreds of mortgage professionals. March on Capitol Hill. Go to Washington, D.C. Make sure your voice is heard, and here's how you do it. All you need to do is go to www.firsthomeiq.com/MBA advocacy. That is firsthomeiq.com/MBA ADVOCACY.
Yeah.
Okay, so on a $400,000 mortgage, the difference between 6 and 6 1/4 is about $72 a month. And actually it's less. It's probably closer to 65 if somebody got out their HP 12C financial calculator. So let's just call it $70 to be safe.
Yeah.
Well, $70 is not going to make or break why someone should or shouldn't buy a home. At least it shouldn't. I mean, because look, homes, especially a $450,000 house, that thing's going to cost you $400 to $600 a month just in general upkeep.
Well, I think you've talked about it before. It's when you're ready to purchase a home, purchase a home. If your life situation says, hey, it's time that we need a home, we're having a kid, we got married, then buy the home. I think you've always said that, correct?
Correct. Yeah. 1/4% is not going to stop someone, or it shouldn't stop someone from being able to afford or to get somebody to say yes or no to actually wanting to own a home. Now, there's plenty of refinances that, man, they really needed rates at 5.75 to make the refinance look better.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden they're that much further from their target. Now, here are some things that we need to watch, though.
Yeah.
Like over the next 90 days, because this is a trickle-down effect, if this doesn't end in weeks, and if this prolongs for months, or God forbid it bleeds into 2027, then could that be recessionary? Because one could argue, and after last Friday's labor report, it's a pretty solid argument that the U.S. isn't in the best labor market, meaning labor is weakening, jobs are not plentiful, unemployment is rising. Well, typically, if that was siloed and that news came out last Friday, which it did, by the way, if you go and look at the BLS report, the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
I believe you. I'm usually on it, but I didn't.
Okay.
Not this past
Well,
Friday.
if you all went, and Karina, you can fact check me on this one, but I'm pretty confident I'm right. Unlike with the bombing of the bombing of the boats
ships.
where Mikey was right.
30 ships.
But you have typically when that labor news would have been announced, you would have seen the bond market rally. You would have seen the Dow Jones Industrial and the S&P actually drop, because it would have been negative for the U.S. economy.
Yeah.
Like, you got to keep in mind, although we always want a booming economy, it's great for the stock market, it's great for employment, it's great for profits. It's actually not great for homeowners, and it's not great for home buyers, because in a booming economy, rates stay elevated. Now, in a weakening economy, you start to see interest rates come down. Some of that is due to fiscal policy coming out of the Federal Reserve. Some of it's just because investors are afraid that their money is tied up in like stocks and equities. So they take them out of stocks and equities and they slide them into bonds. And then we get that whole bond prices go up, rates go down.
I don't want to go down a rabbit hole.
No, go for it.
This is for my own knowledge here. So when bond prices go up, right, we said the yield goes down.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Why? Like why? Like if bond prices go, and I don't really
Supply and
exactly
demand.
know, but
So-
like if bond prices go up, why would the yield of return go down?
Okay, think of me. I have 10 notes I want to sell you.
Yeah.
Each note is $100.
Okay.
And each note is currently giving a 4% rate of return.
Okay.
So you own the note. The note's worth $100.
Yep.
And you know that you're going to receive $104 every year that you own that note. You have your 100 plus the 4 I give you, right? So you earn 4%.
That's my
$4.
yield.
That's your yield.
Got it.
However, I only have 10 of them.
Yep.
All of a sudden, there's 20 people standing behind you. They also want them. Okay. Well, I'll say to one person, hey, I'll sell it to you for $101. The guy behind you says, I'll do it for $102. The guy behind him says, I'll give you 102, but you don't have to pay me 4%. You can pay me 3.9%. The guy behind him says, I'll give you 103 and I'll take 3.5%. And it's essentially the best way to understand it, as if I was explaining to a fourth grader. It's purely supply and demand.
And then you can't increase the supply of the bonds because, like, is that the bond
well, you have
infrastructure?
to issue the bond. The bond's a debt. Right. At the end of the day, the bond is a debt that somebody owns. So you have municipal bonds, you have treasuries, you have mortgage-backed securities.
Yeah.
And then what'll end up happening is eventually, like, you'll get people that pay off their bonds, but they want to go buy new bonds. And when you buy new bonds, you have to pay whatever the current market is.
Yeah.
Right. Because when I'm selling you this note, there's a term to it.
Yeah.
Is it 1 year? Is it 10 years? Is it 30 years? And as I make payments on it, I'm paying down the principal.
Right.
At which point your rate of return is diminishing because you're only earning interest on what is owed in principal.
Right. Makes
So
sense. Cool.
yeah,
That's good.
Not for this lesson.
Yeah, that was
But
good
kind
one.
of back on, like, hey, what's happening in Iran with the U.S. and how is this going to impact the housing market and the real estate market? It's kind of, we're only 2 weeks into this thing, and who knows? It could last 2 more days, and it could last 2 months, or it could last 2 years. We really don't know. And depending on what expert you tune into, we're kind of all over the place. This is a big 6-7 moment for the kids at home. So if I have bad economic news, typically good for interest rates. However, we didn't see that. Right now, the fear of oil prices going up is outweighing the factual news of, hey, our unemployment numbers came up, unemployment went up. We didn't create as many new jobs as we wanted to. The labor market is weakening. You would think that would be positive, but it hasn't been. So if we fast forward 3 months and this is still happening, and we have an elevation in oil prices, which means gas prices are higher, which means the cost of goods are higher. But what if we don't see the demand for those cost of goods the way that we did during COVID? You see, during COVID, we printed all this money.
Yep.
Everyone had free money, right? We were sending it to their homes, just depositing in their bank accounts.
Yeah.
And a lot of young people were loving it, right?
Absolutely.
And then they're out spending it. And all of a sudden, everything got expensive. Homes got expensive, and bacon got expensive.
Everyone got greedy.
Yeah.
They knew the money was circulating.
Yeah, they got some she don't money she don't know about, right? This is like free money.
Facts.
Like this, let's go on, let's party, let's go on vacations. Carnival cruise, here we come.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, what happens though right now if the consumer is tapped out? What if the consumer has no more credit available to them? They've maxed out their credit cards. The labor market is way weaker than it was 2, 3, 5, 7 years ago. And we see the cost of goods going up.
Recession.
Yeah. Right. So if we start getting that could be an outcome of, even if it's only a temporary recession. I mean, we only need 2 quarters of negative GDP growth. Like that's what, like,
that's the
look
the
it up.
Dictionary term.
Look it
for,
up. Dictionary term for a
Yeah.
recession is 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth when you study it through the gross domestic product, the GDP number.
Yep.
If we saw that, well, that could be positive long-term for mortgage rates. And you could say it could be positive for housing prices. It wouldn't be positive for all the people impacted by what happens in a recession, because recessions typically mean less jobs available, more layoffs, less raises.
Now let me ask you a question. What if we do declare war? Like, what if it does turn into a war? Is it the same result that we're chatting about now?
Ooh,
kind of where we're at now?
We'd have to go back. It's difficult. And I did a little studying of this over the weekend. You know, we'd have to go back as far as, like, okay, what was transpiring in the early 90s with Desert Storm.
Yeah.
Right. And then what transpired
9/11.
post 9/11, what transpired even in like 08, 09, because this isn't the only time we've seen gas prices spike.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw them spike in the 70s. We saw them spike in the early 90s. We saw them spike in 2008. I mean, heck, we even saw them spike when Russia attacked Ukraine.
Yeah.
And then the United States and our allies started sanctioning Russia.
Yep.
And we started sanctioning,
Shanking.
shanking. We were shanking them motherfuckers. we were. Some Americans were shanking them, and some Americans flew in. But anyhow, we were sanctioning them.
Yes.
Then you saw a surge in gas prices, and for the most part, the market shrugged it off. And I would say right now, for the most part, the market is shrugging off what's going on in Iran.
For now.
It's just a matter of for now, for how long, right? So this is very much a wait and see.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, there's no clear-cut answer. It's something that we're going to want to watch. But for most of us, it doesn't impede our day-to-day, right? Whether you're a home buyer, you're a homeowner, you're a realtor, or you're a mortgage loan originator, I mean, you still got to go about your business. You still got to get out there and serve your community.
Yep.
Let the experts continue to study, prognosticate, be more cognizant and more aware of the data that's coming out, at least so you can explain it.
Right.
But, there's really not a whole lot we can do besides be knowledgeable. And I think the sole purpose of us doing this episode today is I just want more people to be knowledgeable in general, right? Like fact check is all you want. I probably mispronounced 13 different. Correct. Alex Hormozy, the golf of Alex Hormozy. I mean, look.
The guy's great. It might as well be.
Yeah, Alex Hormozy's legit, right?
Yeah.
And he's Persian, right? So, I mean, that
right,
last name Hormozy
Didn't even think about that.
is very fitting. But no, it's...
I think the point is for the LO. I hope the LO watches this episode and is able to communicate with their customer, about the current situation and, that's the point of this.
Yeah. Did you laugh and did you learn?
Yeah.
And if you laughed, if you learned, then we did our job.
Yeah.
And I do this day in, day out for the students that we coach. I do this day in, day out for my friends in the industry. I mean, you'd be amazed. I got a phone call from a regional sales leader. And this morning, like 8 o'clock, actually 7:45. And I know this guy knows me well because he knows I'm usually up, except for the damn time change is still impacting me. And getting my ass out of bed and getting myself to fall asleep right now, it's just not the easiest thing to do.
Same.
So at 7:45, I may have still been in the shower when normally I'm out of the shower and already heading to the office. But he calls me at least once a quarter.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, this is him. Okay, I've read this shit 13 different times. I just need you to explain it in your words so I'll understand it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this is a guy that, he's been in the industry 20 years. He personally funds $40 million a year. He runs a branch that does $200 million a year. And he subscribes to all of it. But he's like, hey, Dio, just kind of break it down in language that I'm going to be able to understand and tune into. Yeah. So that was the purpose. I wanted to break it down into language because, whether you're EP or whether you're one of our 200 coaching students, more than likely you're getting peppered with these questions. You might not know the answer or know exactly how to explain it. I'm going to use my words to explain to you how I explain it. Yeah. And hopefully, Karina, you learned something?
Yes, for sure.
Did you? If you picked one thing you learned, what do you think you learned?
Well, just him explaining the whole war.
Oh.
Just
wasn't expecting that. Thanks.
Just understanding it for real, because I don't want to say I don't pay attention to it, because that's really rude to say, but it is hard to understand what is going on, and you explaining why the oil prices are going up and gas is going up. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think I learned a lot.
Yeah, I mean, look, the skirmish is not new, and the Israel leader has wanted for 20 years to get American involvement. Yeah. Right? And I thought you did a beautiful job of describing. I was just curious to get someone else's take.
Yeah, no, I love that.
And
that's great.
I dance around the why, because I try not to infuse my bias into it. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, how do I stay apolitical? How do I stay purple? And
I'm terrible at that. So yeah, you do great.
I think we're all biased, whether we do it consciously or we do it subconsciously.
But the way we spoke on this episode, I think you were very objective.
Try to be.
I appreciated that.
Yeah, I absolutely try to be all the time, but I also live my life that way. It's pretty easy for me because I literally refuse to watch Fox News. I will turn off MSNBC. Yeah. I'll turn off CNN.
You're like a BBC guy.
I do. Give me some NPR. Give me some AP News. Yeah, cool. Give me some Reuters. Give me I'll do some Wall Street Journal. Right. I'll do some of that too. But yeah, I try to stay as mainstream as possible, and honestly, I try to stay very headline. Yeah. Because if I dig too deep, then I'm afraid I'm gonna get that person's biases. I don't want them. I don't need them. I'm a firm believer that until you go spend your 2,000 hours doing something, you ain't an expert.
So I
don't want to hear your opinion. Yeah. Unless it's based on experience.
Absolutely.
Now all of a sudden, right? I'm gonna stop and listen if I know you've worked in that industry or you've been in that particular element.
Right.
Right. So if I want to learn what it means to be an NFL football player, I'd want to go hang out with 3 NFL football players.
Absolutely.
Right. And preferably 3 different ones. I'd want that guy that was a journeyman. I'd want that guy that was a superstar. And I wouldn't mind having the perspective of that guy that, kind of didn't make it.
Yeah.
And then, if I want to know what it's like to grow up as a female in the United States, right? I probably should get different takes from different generations and different geographic areas. Because I bet it's way different than growing up in an affluent area of California versus a poor area of Mississippi.
Yeah.
Right? It was different if I was
And
born
you probably
in the 70s.
want to hang out with females.
What's that?
You said being a female growing up in the United States? Is that
I'm
what
just
you said?
saying, if I wanted to know what it was like, I would go hang out with
some females.
Yes, but I had to get all their perspectives.
Yeah.
And I sure as heck couldn't lump them into all one.
Right.
Right? Because being a black female born in 1970 in Mississippi versus a Caucasian female born in 1997 in Silicon Valley, both are women and both grew up in the U.S., but both have a very different point of view.
Yeah.
Right? So, I try to attack everything from a lens of I don't know. I don't want to act like I do know. Things I do know mortgage, things I do know sales, things I do know podcasting, things I do know housing and real estate and personal finance, right? I know what it's like to grow up in Central Florida. I know what it's like to raise 2 kids.
So
right. So that's anytime we're talking about worldly events or geopolitical events, I purposely try to stay as neutral as possible because I'm keeping all of that in the back of my head.
Yeah, absolutely. And because I want to round it out, right? I want to, for the people in the back, like, if you say it one more time, how would you, your elevator pitch on this, like your condensed version of it, what is an LO? How should an LO communicate this to their customer right now? The current situation, if a customer says, hey man, I don't know if now's the right time to buy. Like there's a lot of turmoil and interest rates. Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
like what is, round it out.
If you're a licensed originator who's closing loans, but you're not consistent, this is for you. If you're brand new or just looking for motivation, trust me, this is not for you. Most LOs don't need more information. They need structure. They need proven processes and somebody to hold them accountable. TLOP's originator coaching gives you weekly live coaching, scripts top producers actually use, and step-by-step business systems you can implement immediately. Not someday, we're talking day one. You're not watching videos alone. You're executing in real time with other originators who take this seriously. Right now, you can try it free for 2 weeks. That's 2 full weeks for free. You'll sit in on live coaching calls. You'll get access to the frameworks and see exactly how top producers run their business. If it creates clarity, if it creates momentum, or even if it puts wins on the board, you keep going. If it doesn't, no worries, you can cancel. No pressure at all. Click the link, start the 2-week trial, and finally, build this like a business, not a side hustle.
Okay, round it out. Obviously, what's going on over in Iran, it's serious, it's traumatic for some. Don't want to take it lightly. Mm-hmm. As it impacts interest rates, here's what's happening. Mortgage rates have gone up about 0.25% since this occurred. Mm-hmm. Why? It all comes down mainly to oil prices spiking and us not knowing how that's going to impact the U.S. economy. Is it going to cause inflation or is it going to cause recession? Mm-hmm. And God forbid, it causes both at the same time. We call that stagflation.
Yep.
More than likely it's not. The markets in general are shrugging this off. We haven't seen the flight to safety, which normally when you see a flight to safety, rates get better. We're not seeing that. We're also not seeing rates surge as if we're going to change our economic policy overnight and all of a sudden we're so fearful of inflation, all of the future trades are happening in which bond prices go down and rates go up. That's not happening
Dio,
either.
do you think I'm okay to buy right now? I'm the homeowner. Like, do you think should I go through with this?
Are you gainfully employed?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Are you comfortable with the money that you make?
Yes.
Okay. Do you see any changes happening in the next 6, 9, or 12 months when it comes to your employment situation or your income?
In my personal situation, no.
Can you afford the payment?
Yes.
Do you like the area enough that you think you're going to live in the home for the next 3, 5, or 7 years?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Then 100%. Can you afford the upkeep?
Do you think the quarter increase is going to be a big deal to me?
No, the quarter increase won't be a big deal to you. It shouldn't be a reason why you do or do not buy. right?
Yeah.
If anything, it may be a reason why your friend down the road who bought before you chooses to refinance now or refinances later.
Yeah.
Right. But no, at the end of the day, we're in a wait and see type pattern. And that's what we're all going to have to do. We may be on this podcast 90 days from now, and it's a whole different story.
Yeah.
But if you're ready today, you like today's payment, you lock it, you load it, and you go.
Yeah.
And we move on.
Cool.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of moving on, we're going to go ahead and wrap up today's episode. I want to throw out a quick reminder. Y'all, mortgage professionals, I'm talking to you. If you love cool-ass events, I'm talking the coolest event the mortgage industry has maybe ever done.
Facts.
I've been in for 20 years. I can't remember one time where we did a mortgage industry specific, think themed, cruise. So we're hopping on Royal Caribbean's Utopia of the Seas. The date is September 14th through 18th. It's called TLOP Unite. It's our first ever TLOP industry event. We're going to go to the Bahamas. We're going to go to Royal Caribbean's private island. We're going to have networking events and mastermind sessions. We're going to have an entire day dedicated to a sales conference. Mm-hmm. Tons of networking, a lot of good times, plenty of laughs. Hopefully we get some sun. We'll definitely get some sea and some salt and some sand. If this sounds like something you would love to be a part of, I will tell you, I've already been told it's one of the most affordable events of the year. I think you can do it for less than $2,000 all in. That's going to include your flight. That's going to include your 4 nights on the cruise ship. That's going to include your meals. Plus, we have cool ass sponsors who are going to be helping us throw some really fun parties. Mm-hmm. If you think this is you, go to our website, tloponline.com. You want to look for the Unite event. You can see all the details. Speaking of sponsorships, we already have our main sponsor locked down. Shout out to our friends over at Hoper and the Hoper Loan. But we have 2 other sponsorships readily available. Yep. We had a total of 9. We've already sold 5 of them. We got 2 that are left and 2 that are pending. If you're interested in a sponsorship, you can reach out to me, first name Dustin, last name Owen, and I'll get you in contact with my team. He's Mike Siciliano. She's Karina Mojica. I'm Dustin Owen. You just tuned in to Loan Officer Podcast. That's all the time we have for you today, but we do look forward to catching you on the next episode. Peace.